This video does not in any way try to glorify Adolf Hitler's character. The purpose of this video is simply to help us understand the psychology of a person like Hitler. Do not form your opinions based on this video, because opinions have consequences. The choice is yours. In 1909, a 20-year-old Austrian boy was sleeping on a bench in a park in Vienna. No one knew his name. He had no money, no home, and no future. After the death of a very important person in his life, he had also been rejected from art school. He was nothing but a failure, a helpless, homeless failure. 30 years later, this same person would become the reason behind the biggest war in human history. Because of him, around 6 million Jews were killed. It was a time filled with chaos, and if you look back at it, all you see is blood.
He was a man who showed the world a face of ambition so dark that the memory of it remains just as terrifying and painful even today. How did a homeless, helpless man who had lost at life become the most cruel man of the century?
If you ask people for the answer, their response is usually very simple. They would say he was a monster, a madman, something that should not even be called human. But that answer is dangerous, because it is wrong. It sounds very human and comforting, but it is dangerous because it keeps us away from the truth. Psychologists, philosophers, and many historians spent decades analyzing Hitler, studying him, and trying to understand him. The conclusions they reached were deeply unsettling, because those conclusions show Hitler as a human being, just a human being. Welcome to another video. Let's find out why a human being could become someone like this.
He became a person who many people feel should not even be called human. I am talking about Adolf Hitler.
To understand Hitler, we have to start where all psychology begins: childhood. Adolf Hitler was born on April the 20th, 1890, in a town in Austria near the German border. He was the fourth child of Alois Hitler and Clara Posel. Before his birth, 3 children had already died in infancy. His mother, Clara, was living through a kind of pain that only a mother who has buried 3 children can truly understand. When Adolf was born, Clara devoted all the love and strength she had left to him. People who knew Clara said that she was a very good mother. She loved Adolf deeply. Because she had already lost 3 children, she became very protective of him, perhaps even too protective. But Adolf's father, Alois, was the complete opposite of his mother. Alois Hitler was a customs officer. He believed in harsh discipline and had a cruel personality. In his mind, there was only hatred for the weak. He used to beat Adolf, and he also abused Clara.
Adolf learned what it felt like to be powerless at a very young age. Clara was the only gentle part of his life. When Dr. Frederick Coolidge studied Hitler in depth, he found that the antisocial behavior Hitler developed later in life may have been a result of this childhood. But by this point, another psychological wound had already been formed, one that went far beyond the simple idea of cause and effect. When a child is unable to protect himself or the people he loves because of his helplessness, and when that helplessness leaves a deep mark on his heart, it can create a pathological need for control later in life.
People like this often grow up to become more aggressive and possessive. A person cannot run away from their emotional wounds. They have to face them. If they keep hiding from them, those same wounds eventually become a part of them and begin shaping their mindset. Now think about what young Adolf must have experienced. A frightening father he could neither fight nor escape from. He could not protect himself, and he could not protect his mother, whom he loved very much. This growing sense of helplessness almost certainly created the same feeling. That feeling of helplessness most likely created a hunger for control inside him. And along with that hunger came an understanding of the need for power. A need for power and a hunger for control whose consequences would eventually be suffered by an entire society. But Hitler was never able to deal with the helplessness and powerlessness he experienced as a child. Even when he grew up, he never truly faced the broken parts of himself. He spent his life running from them. Without realizing it, that same helplessness and powerlessness would become the driving force behind his terrifying ambition. In December 1907, Clara died from breast cancer. Adolf was 18 years old at the time.
With his mother's death, he lost the only place where he felt loved. He became completely alone, a child who had never been able to save his mother. Unknowingly, as he grew older, he began to see that same mother in his country. This time, he felt he had to save her at any cost. Unfortunately, that cost turned out to be enormous. A few months after his mother's death, he moved to Vienna. His situation became so bad that he had to sleep on park benches. The period from 1908 to 1913, often called Hitler's Vienna period, became extremely important in shaping him. At this time, Hitler was mentally and emotionally broken. He needed something to hold on to. He started reading, but he read very selectively. He read anti-Semitic writings filled with hatred toward Jews. He read nationalist pamphlets that filled him with patriotism. He read ideas related to social Darwinism, the concept of survival of the fittest applied through racial discrimination, which gave his hatred a false scientific justification. During this period, Hitler's ideology was shaped through this selective reading. In reality, reading was only an excuse to escape from his pain. Over time, this ideology became so powerful that the helpless child inside him was buried beneath it. What remained were only the wounds. And to take revenge for those wounds, he found an enemy, an entire community, the Jewish people. Throughout history, almost every dictator has used what is known as the scapegoat method. In this method, people are given an enemy, show the public a simple answer for their failures, helplessness, and difficult circumstances. Usually, that answer is a person or an entire group of people. The dictator convinces people by saying, "Look, that group is responsible for everything that has gone wrong in your life, and I am the one standing against them. If you want to get rid of them, choose me." Human beings' tendency to avoid personal responsibility makes this strategy very effective, and that is exactly what Hitler did. He showed the entire country and said, "Look, it is the Jews who are responsible for your failures. They are draining you. If you want to fight them, you must unite. Only then can victory be possible. Come with me. We will save Germany." When a dictator shows hatred toward a particular group of people, it does not necessarily mean that the hatred is real. Sometimes that hatred is simply an act. In most cases, that is exactly what it is. But in Hitler's case, it was different. He genuinely hated Jews. Because for him, that hatred was personal. It was a way of running away from himself. That is why it was real. You can clearly see that conviction in Hitler's speeches. It becomes obvious that the hatred was genuinely there. That is also why people trusted him. He was not only lying to other people, he was lying to himself with complete intensity, to such an extent that he eventually began to believe those lies were the truth. Adolf Hitler's sense of right and wrong was truly unusual. It was not that he did not know the difference between right and wrong. Rather, his self-image was so powerful that he did not believe he was capable of being wrong. He believed that he was a savior, someone who had been chosen.
He believed that the fate of Germany and even the entire world rested in his hands. Because of this, he did whatever he felt was necessary to achieve his goals. In his mind, all of it was justified. The deaths, the destruction, the cruelty, and the war. A hunger for power driven by the ambition to conquer the world is enough to blur the meaning of morality. For him, anything that was necessary was justified. He lied to people with such confidence that it sounded like the truth, because that belief already existed inside him. You can pretend to have the truth, but you cannot pretend to have conviction. Conviction has to be real. Hitler understood that if he wanted to keep people under control, he had to limit the information they received. He had to show them only what supported the story he had created. And that is exactly what he did. He limited people's access to information. He blamed a specific group of people for their problems. And he kept them inside a bubble where Hitler became their only source of guidance and support. Almost like the main hero of a story. As human beings, we often accept the narrative as truth rather than the actual facts. That is part of our nature. Once you learn how to control the narrative, the facts become yours to control as well. After that, it no longer matters whether the story is true or simply looks true. This was the first part of that narrative. Part 1 of the video is not over yet. I intentionally divided it into 2 parts so that you do not get bored either, and so that I do not get tired either. Don't worry, I won't keep you waiting for long. The second part of this narrative is already prepared, and it will be coming soon.